I now call the 2014 SAIS Annual Business Meeting to order. If you would please turn to your Annual Business Meeting Conference Program, page 6. You will find the minutes from the 2013 Annual Business Meeting. I would ask that you glance at them, read them thoroughly, whichever way you would like to, and then at some point I would entertain a motion for them to be accepted. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It has been moved and seconded that they be approved. May I hear a resounding yes? Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. In 2013-14, SAIS offered 22 professional development opportunities that were attended by 941 individuals, including an annual conference with 337 attendees, as well as a presence on the national level at the NAIS conference and a blended course in conjunction with the online school for girls. As this is Steve's last year at the helm, let's compare those numbers with where we were when he started. In 2007-8, SAIS offered 5 professional development opportunities, including an annual conference with 147 attendees. As you can tell from these numbers, Steve is leaving the organization healthy and prepared for a bright future. Now I'd like to ask Mark Hale, head of Greensboro Day School and chair of the Accreditation Committee, to give the membership and accreditation reports. Thank you, Mark.
Well, it's been another banner year for accreditation and also for membership growth. SAIS is 369 members strong, representing 14 states and 4 countries, and includes boarding and day schools, faith-based schools, secular schools, as well as schools with different pedagogical practices. What continues to unite us is our commitment to our missions, to our students, and to our communities. Interest in the services and network of SAIS continue to remain at high levels, and engagement continues to thrive. We have a significant Twitter following and a tremendous readership of our publications. By the way, if you want to live tweet this report, use the hashtag SAISAC. Last year, SAIS conducted 64 accreditation visits, of which 20 were initial visits. Over 320 individuals gave more than 9,000 hours of their time serving teams and reviewing reports. On behalf of the SAIS Accreditation Committee, I'd like to congratulate the schools that have successfully become accredited and re-accredited this year. And thanks to all the many volunteers who participated in those visits. I would also like to recognize the leadership of Damian Cavanaugh in leading our accreditation program and for the remarkable work that took place this past spring and summer. That work included the SAIS Legacy Club and the participants in the SAIS Accreditation Summit as they conducted a thorough review of our accreditation process. We are all the beneficiaries of the thoughtful work from these 2 groups, which resulted in several revisions, assistance developing version 2.0 of the SAIS accreditation portal, and a deeper understanding of how and why we accredit. Our heartfelt thanks to Damian and these groups for their efforts. As we continue to develop offerings, it is with the idea that just as schools must serve the needs of students, the association must serve the needs of schools by providing a high-quality accreditation process, comprehensive professional growth opportunities, and visionary leadership, and a visionary leadership development program. Thank you all for your commitment and your service. And when you are asked to participate on an accreditation team, please say yes. We need you. Next, I'd like to introduce Dennis Manning, the head of Norfolk Academy and chair of our Finance Committee, who will give the financial report. Dennis.
In keeping with tradition my predecessor set as Finance Committee Chair, Jill Moody, this will be slightly longer than a haiku. Delighted to report that the financial position of SAIS is stronger than ever. As you heard from Mark and Barbara, the professional development, accreditation, and membership reports, our association continues to grow healthily and strategically. Our reserves are at the top of the industry recommended standards, further evidence of the strength and vitality of the organization, and an affirmation of the leadership we enjoy from Steve and Lori, Damien, the entire SAIS administrative team. A quick note, SAIS transitioned from the conventional academic fiscal calendar to a January 1 to December 31 fiscal year cycle or calendar, beginning with fiscal year 2014. So as such, we received a 6-month audit to cover that transitional or gap period. And the audits, I'm pleased to report, were clean and unqualified. So in sum, SAIS's finances, its overall financial health are stable and sound. My pleasure now to invite Kirk Walker, interim head of the Webb School, Knoxville, and past chair of the SAIS board, to the podium now to provide a report from the Committee on Trustees. Please welcome Kirk to the podium now.
First, it's my pleasure to recognize the service of an individual who served on the SAIS board over the past several years, but we didn't have a chance to recognize her at last year's conference. So I'd like to ask her to join me on the stage to accept a token of our appreciation. At Woodward Academy, Marcia Spiller. Thank you, Marcia, for all of your great work. Now, the Committee on Trustee report. I'd like to introduce the slate of proposed trustees for a 3-year term of service beginning January 1st, 2015. I'd like to ask each of them to stand as I call their names. From High Meadows School in Roswell, Georgia, Jay Underwood. And from the Altamont School in Birmingham, Alabama, Sarah Whiteside. Thank you for your willingness to be nominated. Yes. Since this is the nomination of the Committee on Trustees, I just need a second. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Jay and Sarah. We appreciate your service. Finally, I would like to ask all of the members of the Board of Trustees to stand and to receive our thanks. Thank you very much. Barbara?
Thank you, Kirk. The SAIS Distinguished Service Award is given by the SAIS Board of Trustees to a head of school or senior administrator in recognition of a long and distinguished career in independent education, of which 25 years or more were spent in service to one school, as well as service to SAIS. The creation of this award in 2012 was inspired by the life and work of Dale Regan, who devoted 34 years of her life to the Episcopal School of Jacksonville, and who posthumously was the award's first recipient. Last year, we were honored to present this award to Bob Chambers, Peter Jernberg, and Bill Jablin. This year, I am delighted to recognize two very deserving recipients who have both contributed to their independent school communities as well as to SAIS throughout their careers. The first is Dr. Marvin Lishman. Marvin has served as head of Magnolia Heights School in Senatobia, Mississippi since 1981, where he has guided the school's growth to its current enrollment of over 700 students. Dr. Lishman holds an undergraduate degree from Mississippi State University, a master's degree from Delta State University, and an EDD in Educational Administration and Supervision from the University of Mississippi. He has also served as an adjunct professor at Mississippi College and at Delta State. Dr. Lishman has served on numerous committees and in leadership roles for SAIS, SACS, MAIS, and Advance Ed. He has served on the SAIS Board of Trustees since 2009 and currently serves as Secretary of the Executive Committee. Marvin, please join me on stage to accept your award.
Thank you. Let me first say that I am very humbled to be here today. It's a long way from rural Carroll County, Mississippi to this place. I was sharing with my table earlier today as a rookie science teacher at Washington School some 41 years ago. I'm sure that I made plenty of mistakes. To the head of school at the ripe age of 27 and then remaining there for the following 34 years, there are certainly too many people to thank. But I do want to thank a few, especially the people who have gone before me who have won this award. Peter Jurenberg, who is a dear, dear friend and a mentor. Bob Chambers, Bill Jablin, and of course, Dale, for whom this award was named. And Tom Redmond, Steve Robinson, and for their belief in me and never forgetting that Mississippi was a part of the SAIS. I am humbled and a bit embarrassed for being named for this award at the same time that Ned Fox is going to receive this award. I certainly remember, I've been sitting with his son here at the table, and I remember sitting at many Cracker Barrel sessions many, many years ago, listening to his wit and his wisdom. Just a couple of quotes and then I'll get down. First of all, I believe very strongly in Scripture, and Luke 12:48 says, "To whom much is given, even much more is required." Also, service is the rent that we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. And then finally, I'm reminded of a quote by John Wooden as I'm here today, and certainly the company that I've had over my period of years in SAIS. One of John Wooden's favorite poems was, "Why Do I Teach?" And the first line of the poem goes something like, "Where else would I find such splendid company?" Thank you very much.
Our next recipient, Dr. Edward Ned J. Fox, Jr., devoted 52 years to the field of K-12 independent education. He served as head of Charlotte Latin School in Charlotte, North Carolina from 1976 to 2001, and prior to that was upper school head at Collegiate School in Richmond, Virginia. And he also served on staff at numerous other independent schools, and then served as interim head at 6 independent schools from North Carolina to Texas to Arkansas to New Mexico. Ned graduated from Woodbury Forest School in Woodbury, Virginia. He earned his undergraduate degree in history from Rice University, his MAT in English from Johns Hopkins University, and his EDD in school administration from Nova Southeastern University. He has taught seminars on independent school education and administration in colleges throughout the country, including Vanderbilt University, as well as founding the SAIS Administrative Institute in 1983 and the SAIS Institute for New Teachers in 1985. Ned has served in leadership positions for SAIS, NAIS, NCAIS, SACS, and many other civic and charitable organizations, including service on the National Board of the Cum Laude Society. During his career, he participated in over 70 SACS accreditation visits and led the development of the accreditation program for us at SAIS. A resolution adopted by the Collegiate School Board of Trustees in 1976 upon Fox's departure, okay, well, whatever, reads, "Ned Fox is a gentleman, at home with all manner of people, equally at ease at play, in a library, a museum, or the cheering section of a sports arena. With his sense of humor and ready repartee, he is the center of most school groups. He is not an ivory tower scholar, but respects learning as a basis for quality education and instruction. In establishing curriculum and programming, he has always been creative and innovative." Now we have a guest.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ned, you're looking good. Thank you. It's the haircut. Makes me look 25 years younger. Now, my name is Ed Fox. I'm son of Ned Fox, and I teach at a small independent school in Charlotte, North Carolina, named Charlotte Latin School. Although I was told by my administration not to acknowledge that until after the speech to see how it goes. I know you're also thinking, all right, another speaker up here. Well, don't worry, I'll be quick. My kids are out in the car right now. And by the way, I don't normally have facial hair. I was just told by Steve that everybody had it this year, so. Glad I have a clear podium too. That way you can see the food I dropped on my pants during the meal. My dad enjoyed working with SAIS over the years. It was kind of like another child to him. Child that didn't ask to borrow any money or borrow the car. So what I'm really saying is SAIS was his favorite child, which my brother and I should have realized because our family Christmas card every year was just the SAIS logo with a Santa hat on it. Merry Christmas from the Foxes. But he retired the first time. He was kind of like the Brett Favre of headmasters. Retired from Latin in 2001, and then he did a series of interim headships, and that was because right after he retired from Latin, he realized he really likes bossing around people for money. So. But we overlapped by about 12 years at Latin, although as his son, he showed me no favoritism at all. In fact, I worked at Latin for like 10 years, so I realized that teachers got paid to be there. I was told it was an honor. And I don't know how many times I was called into the headmaster's office to pull his finger, so. Can I say that here? If that joke hadn't worked, I was going to blame Lori wrote it, so. But let me wrap up with this. He moved back to Charlotte about a month and a half ago from the mountains, and so I've gotten to see him a lot over the last month and a half. And if he could have been here today, well, his speech would have been much longer. You're welcome. He would have said how genuinely honored he feels receiving this award, and he asked that I give a big shout out. That's thanks to you who have less street cred. Big shout out to Steve and Lori and Damien and Leanne and the board of SAIS. So many, many thanks from my dad, and thank you very much.
Over the last 7 years, during Steve's tenure, SAIS has pioneered a variety of relationships and collaborations with numerous groups, including institutions of higher education, other nonprofit organizations, businesses, and local, state, regional, national, and international businesses and associations. These relationships have led to successful collaborations on a myriad of initiatives that have benefited all of us. Looking forward, we believe that future collaborations will allow schools to leverage these changing times for greater innovation and success. In your conference bag, you received the latest SAIS publication entitled Collaborate, that is a companion piece to the previous ones on the topics of leadership and succession. This year's booklet is a collection of stories and statistics on the topic of collaboration. In order to encourage and support member schools as they push the boundaries of their own collaborations, I am proud to announce a new initiative at SAIS entitled the SAIS Collaboration Grants. The Board of Trustees has allocated $25,000 per year to be awarded to schools that demonstrate a vision and a capacity to pursue and carry out a meaningful collaboration. Schools selected for grants will document and share their results with the broader SAIS and independent school communities. We will all benefit from these grants, and we will be inspired by each other. We will be equipped to pursue or continue collaborations that were once just beyond our reach. Our communities will take note of our visionary partnerships, which will lead to a greater opportunity and project down the road, pushing us all into new territories. I am pleased and honored to announce that in recognition of the many partnerships and collaborations that he has spearheaded, the Board of Trustees has named the grants the Dr. Stephen P. Robinson Collaboration Grants. Now I have the honor of recognizing and introducing, I guess for the last time at an annual meeting of SAIS, our wonderful, joyful, wonderful, fabulous leader, Dr. Stephen P. Robinson.
Sounds kind of final, doesn't it? It was 9 years ago, just almost right to the day, that I stood in front of this group over at the Ritz-Carlton and was announced as the incoming president to begin the next July 1. And over the last 8 years has been a really, really good ride. I tell folks all the time, I didn't tell my board that often because I didn't want them to cut my pay or something, but it's the best gig that one could imagine. And I have been really privileged to be able to contribute to your schools and to lead this association, but just to be a part of so many wonderful, wonderful people and relationships. I recently asked Rhonda, my wife, if in her wildest dreams she ever saw me leading such an amazing group with such brilliant people and great schools. And she says, well, sweetheart, you're not in my wildest dreams. For those of you that are interested, this is trying to work my way back into her wildest dreams, something different, okay? But by all metrics that associations are typically measured, we have had some really good success over the past decade and decade and a half, and almost 8 years of which I've been fortunate to be a part of that. SAIS continues to grow in the number of member schools, recognition and resources, and most importantly, in the ways that schools are served. And as is the case for the past 7.5 years, most of the credit goes to the most outstanding association staff in the world. As all of you who lead schools or who lead divisions know, that the key to success is to build a great team, and you must not be afraid to lower the mean IQ when you walk in the office. That regularly happens around SAIS. Please allow me to reintroduce them all to you. Lori Spear, our Executive Vice President, is the one that you know kind of keeps this place going and these events, and I just show up where she tells me to show up when she tells me to show up. Damian Cavanaugh was recognized earlier in the accreditation, Vice President for Accreditation and Membership, and has been an amazing addition over the last 4 years at SAIS. Leanne Minnick, Director of Member Services and Technology. Julia Grantham, Director of Administration. Sarah Stewart, Content and Member Engagement Manager. Joanne Andruskavage, Director of Accreditation, and Danielle Swart, Assistant to the President. This is an amazing group, folks, and most of the good that comes from SAIS can be attributed to these folks. During my time at SAIS, I can honestly say that I approached each and every task with an understanding that this position is not about me, and it's not about SAIS as an organization, but rather it's about our member schools and the students in those schools. With this in mind, please allow me to share some thoughts regarding future sustainability and success of independent schools. For SAIS schools, the word independent takes center stage, and at times it does so to a fault. I value the nature of independence for our schools as much as anyone. However, I recognize that it historically has referred to independence from government regulations and bureaucracies or other entities that would direct or influence the operation of school with a different purpose or mission in mind. An independent school is independent to identify its own mission, to hire its best teachers, and to innovate. However, a school that is completely independent of other schools and like-minded organization does so at its own peril. By now, most are in agreement that preparing students for their future involves the development of a skill set that addresses the seismic shifts brought about by the digital age. One of these skills is that of collaboration, or teaming to work with others for a shared goal. Although this is not a completely new skill, in that people have worked collaboratively since the beginning of mankind, it does seem to be somewhat more critical today. It is generally recognized in the social science that interdependence is a higher state of being than independence. Gestalt theory captures the strength of interdependence. The concept of Gestalt is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Whether among individuals or organizations, those who are mutually reliant and collaborate on shared interests and goals extend their reach. Our individual and our organizational successes are largely dependent on our ability to collaborate with others. Like engineers and astronauts planning a voyage into space, our success is the result of our ongoing collective efforts, from the smallest to the largest, the most creative to the most structured, the old to the new. Greatness lies in recognizing and leveraging our interdependence, sharing our resources, work, and ideas. In all facets of life, we are impacted by our interdependencies. I understand that collaboration is not synonymous with interdependence. However, I think that they are not completely unrelated. Our mutual reliance on each other compels us to collaborate. I want to discuss the need of collaboration among schools. I'm not sure whether you see your school as interdependent on others, but what I am suggesting is that interdependence should be embraced not only as a higher order of development, but as a means of sustainability. This holds true for the sustainability of our schools. It also holds true for our ability to help students become all that they can become, to serve our communities and even our world by modeling global collaboration. We all understand that much of a school's value narrative is based on what it can offer families that they cannot receive elsewhere. Independent schools are focused on missions that serve their children in a way that no other option can. However, while this is important, We should not let this mindset become fixed and prevent us from greater things. We maintain a growth mindset and dare to imagine and pursue new ways to bolster the value of independent schools and add value to our communities. Growing competition also compels us to find new ways to sustain our schools. Many public schools will likely improve, but more so, the proliferation of other options for families will inevitably result in a very different educational market than we have witnessed over the past half-century. Just as we know that the students must become innovators to compete on a global playing field, so must schools contemplate innovative ways in which they can remain leaders in education. I am convinced that this can happen, but it requires a willingness to be collaborative, a willingness to build on the strengths of others, a willingness to realize that our independence is from government bureaucracy and not from each other or other possible partners. I believe that the future of the independent schools is one of collaboration, and SAIS is committed to partnering with you in these efforts. The SAIS peer review accreditation is a perfect example of collaboration among independent schools. Other opportunities such as buying consortiums, developing principles of good practice, research, networking occurs through your independent school association memberships. I encourage you to view your association memberships as a doorway to new relationships that can lead to meaningful collaborations. This is the true value of an association. This has been my focus for the last 7.5 years, serving schools as they prepare future leaders of our world. In spite of the personal limitations that I have brought to the role of president of SAIS, I hope that it has been obvious to everyone that I understand that the only reason SAIS exists, or should exist, is to help our schools serve students. As most of you know, this will be my last year as president of SAIS. I feel such a sense of honor and gratitude for the opportunity that you have provided me to serve your schools. Due to the emotion that comes from a deep sense of gratitude that I have, as well as being reminded regularly by my wife that I can be a big crybaby at times, I thought it would be best to make a video to explain the next iteration for Rhonda and me. I expect to have opportunities to have a more detailed discussion over the next 8 months with many of you, hopefully most of you. But for now, here is the story. The Republic of Honduras, for nearly 2 centuries, since its independence from Spain in 1821, has been a small and often ignored neighbor of the United States. It is a tropical diamond in the rough, with its 43,000 square miles positioned as a geographic center of Central America. Some of the most beautiful Caribbean coastline serves as its 434-mile northern border. Its barrier islands are recognized as a top dive location. When including the interior tropical lowlands and highlands, the natural beauty of Honduras can be breathtakingly spectacular. One of America's oldest civilizations, the Mayan culture, still influences Honduras to this day. The Copan ruins are frequented by both tourists and archaeologists alike. However, along with its beauty and culture, Honduras is faced with many challenges. As one of the poorest nations in the Western Hemisphere, resources for most citizens are quite scarce. Over 60% of its 8.6 million citizens live below the poverty line. Along with Belize and Haiti, Honduras is the most youthful nation in the Western Hemisphere, with a median age of 21. Approximately 2.5 million children, or 30% of the population, are school age, of which approximately 12% are being used as child labor. Throughout its history, natural disasters have added to the economic instability of Honduras. The most recent catastrophic disaster occurred in 1998 when Hurricane Mitch completely devastated the nation. Mitch was the second deadliest Atlantic hurricane in history, with over 14,000 Honduran deaths, 85,000 houses destroyed or damaged, and 1.5 million people left homeless. Severe flooding occurred in the northern region, which washed away more than 25 entire villages. Over 70% of the nation's transportation infrastructure was destroyed, and 70% of the nation's crops were destroyed, including 80% of its banana crop. It is generally recognized that Hurricane Mitch set Honduras back 30 to 50 years in its economic development. Not the least of Honduras's challenges is the violent and very lucrative drug trafficking industry that victimizes the citizens and stresses law enforcement. Often the local police are co-opted by the traffickers, yet when not, they are under-resourced and typically unable to address many of the problems created by gangs and cartels. And amidst all these challenges, it is most often the youth of Honduras that are impacted the most. Still, there is a tremendous sense of hope for Honduras. There is a critical mass of Hondurans that are not willing to continue this cycle of futility. These are institutions, organizations, and people who have committed their lives to making a positive difference in their nation. One such institution playing a major role in this effort is the Episcopal Diocese of Honduras. With its servant leader, Bishop Lloyd Allen, the Episcopal Church is committed to a brighter future for Honduras. As the first Honduran-born bishop since the church's formation in 1861, Bishop Allen is uniquely committed and connected to the people of Honduras, and this commitment is evidenced in his dedication to the diocesan schools. These schools are uniquely positioned to affect the future of their nation in a way that I have never before witnessed. The nearly 1,700 students in the 7 bilingual schools are being prepared as the future leaders of Honduras. In spite of serving with limited resources and exhausted facilities, the dedicated teachers and staff of these schools are committed to preparing the students to be globally competent bilingual graduates who exhibit the creativity, character, and problem-solving skills necessary to lead Honduras. It is this commitment that inspires not only the students, but also those of us who observe their efforts. Over the coming years, there will be many challenges for these schools. Along with much-needed facility repairs, an immediate strategic goal is to enhance the technological infrastructures of each campus. Also, creating and maintaining partnerships with schools in the United States and other parts of the world is essential. This is the future that Rhonda and I are choosing to embrace. To serve alongside our dedicated colleagues of the Episcopal Schools of Honduras as they develop the future leaders of their nation. The world is full of stories. Some are more compelling than others, yet all around us are stories of lives lived, challenges encountered, and battles fought. From time to time, one of these stories so compels us that we find ourselves drawn into its pages. Then, on very rare occasions, one is honored to find that they have been written into the story. Occasions when it is impossible to contemplate the story unfolding naturally without their character. These occasions represent my definition of a call, and as a man of faith, I believe that they are influenced by the divine. It is a special occurrence for a person to experience such a call, and it is just such an occurrence to which Rhonda and I are responding. For those wanting to follow the story, stay tuned.
We'll walk by faith, even when I cannot see. Oh, because this broken road prepares your will for me. Well,
Wow. That was incredible. Thank you, Steve, for sharing that story with us. Bishop Lloyd Allen is here. Bishop, would you please stand up and let us recognize you? Last night was a wonderful celebration for all of us to salute our wonderful leader, and I hope that you enjoyed that. I know that all of us have been moved by your story, Steve, and now I just can't help but believe that this call is going to make a big difference in our world as we know it. And if anyone can make a change in the world, you can do it. So God bless you, Godspeed, don't forget all of us, and we'll be watching you online. Thank you very much for sharing your story. A couple of announcements. If you haven't downloaded the conference app yet, please be sure to do so. It's full of handy information, including the schedule and the session descriptions and lots more. The wireless password here is Silverman. And a reminder that the exhibit booths will be open until 7 p.m. today. So we'll see you back here at 4 o'clock for our speaker, and I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you all. Thank you for coming. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.